Hey everybody, this is going to be a slightly different direction. Obviously, here's my 1 or 2 videos a year that we're going to do here, right? We're going to come with that Shelly Ann Fraser Price tribute video at some point during the year. Hopefully before she takes her last blessed step on the track. But anyway, you're now watching Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes' performances and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. We don't have the normal get up here because I got Linux and apparently it wiped out my computer and all of the logos and all the other stuff that I had. So haven't been able to get the backups. But we're going in a slightly different direction here. We're going to start with Kimba Nelson, right? We're going to start with her because we could start with Mr. Stona, but we're going to start with Kimba Nelson. Obviously, there are tons of people that have gone and covered the athletes that have at least seemingly said, hey, we're going to take Turkey citizenship and nationality in exchange for $500,000 up to $1 million with incentives. Okay, cool. We got that. People have covered that. They're going to share their opinions. I'm going to come here. You guys know that are regulars here know what direction I'm going to go with here. Because I usually talk about nation building type of things here. So that's the direction we're going with. Kimba Nelson was dropped from the, as you can see the headline, sprinter. Kimba Nelson reacts to being dropped from Jamaica's Paris Olympics squad. So, long story short, she got 5th at Jamaican trials for the people that are not Jamaican and can't remember from last year. Or if you see this 2-3 years from now, whenever you see it, she got 5th at the Jamaican trials. They said, hey, you're on the team as a alternate. And alternate typically can mean that you would run in the prelim round. Hey, you know what? Not guaranteed, but you are there. Then I think like a week later or something like that, week and a half or so later, she ran and got 3rd. As you can see at the bottom of the page, she got 3rd with an 11:04, and they said, yeah, that's not good enough. Bye-bye. And she wasn't on the squad no more. That's what they did. Now, this wasn't the first time it happened to her. After they told her, you're on the list, and implied that you're guaranteed on the list. Not, hey, this is the reserve spot. Because in 2021, because it happened to her before, 2021 at Tokyo, she was named on the reserve. But then they said, you know what? Brianna Williams. That's what happened. I remember I was on the Williams train and stuff back then and all of that stuff. But hey, they said, hey, you're on the reserve, but nope, Williams, we got you. Kimba, sorry. That's what happened. So the JAAA isn't just doing this to some of the field eventers, because if I'm not mistaken, last year, what was the you guys is in Jamaica, female thrower, she thought, obviously, hey, I made it, I qualified, I'm on the list, and then at the very last minute, what was it, 3 days before, because I remember covering both Kimba Nelson and this female athlete, which I'm skipping her name now, because it's going to blank, but she was like, yeah, I'm not on this list. What the heck happened? And man, I would have been throwing up a storm. How you going 3 days before? It's like, hey, you know what? And then they say, oh, sorry, that's not our fault. That's the other one. And then they pointed back to JAAA and said, no, it's their fault. So it's like the Spider-Man meme, and then both pointing at each other. And then World Athletics, or they said, hey, you can't add anything more to the list. Sorry, it's too late. All of the stuff that was declared, because we got to make our heat sheets and stuff, already there. So you can't be added to the list. Sorry. Maybe next time. So something that doesn't happen but every 4 years. You had the biggest flub up from an organization you think could do better, right? So one, they said, you're on the list. Now you're not on the list. The other athlete, they said, ooh, shoot, hot potato. It's their fault. So on the one hand, we forgot, paperwork error. And on the other hand, sorry, we promised you something, but we're going to take it back. So let's go back to Mr. Stona here. And Campbell. And Favour Ofili is one of the latest athletes. But Campbell, Stona, and all the other Jamaican athletes that are rumored so far. We got to say rumored because the JAAA came out a few days ago and said, hey, nobody has formally declared what they wanted to do or put in a request, and World Athletics hasn't been sent the request and all of that for their approval. So yada yada yada. That's not really official. But we did have a couple of athletes, I believe Campbell came out and kind of was talking about how the money was, or Stona talked about how the money was. But it is what it is. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. And let me ask you guys a question. And I kind of know the answer from the poll. But if you got offered 500,000 smackaroonies and said, hey, look, go represent this other country, and your country as a gold medalist ain't give you nothing, or you got like $500 to your pocket, some of these people should not even just tell the thing. It's like, okay, cool. All us got things that's going on in our lives that you didn't need to share that, but we understand. Like, we understand. Now, on the one hand, I'm going to look at it from two perspectives. As an individual athlete, I'm like, you know what? Go ahead. That kind of makes sense. As a structural standpoint, and as I got to always talk about this, as a structural standpoint, I really just do not like what was happening. Now, I think we might see an American athlete do it. And when I say American, I mean from the founding of this nation, the founding stock of this nation from the 1700s. I don't mean like second generation, first generation, third generation, somebody that immigrated here. I mean somebody from the founding of this nation, right? We might see an American take one of these offers, but it will be from a different perspective. So everybody brace yourself for the other ones that's going to get triggered. Look, you got a system like what happened to, was it Favour Ofili, which looks like my ex. You guys know that's been on this channel for some years. Y'all know Favour was one of the athletes that President Tinubu, if I'm not mistaken, at the time, I think he was the president, was like, yeah, we're not going to let a whole bunch of our athletes, we got like 20 athletes that qualify, 18 or 20, but we're going to let like 3 of y'all through. The rest of y'all, we're going to tell you at the last minute too, we're not going to allow your visas to be valid. Sorry. So, it sounds pretty similar. You got Jamaica all the way in the Caribbean. Then you got Nigeria all the way in West Africa. And you got a similar freaking story. What's going on? You got to start questioning, like, the heck is going on? So you got athletes. Nigeria's real bad. They just said, well, y'all not going. And then of the 3 athletes they let, at least one of them got this drug thing, Blessing Okabari. It's like, dang, she got busted. It's like they did that so they could make Nigeria look bad, because the way that was done right before she even got to run the semis or whatever like that, it's like they knew about this information. Speculation, of course, you know, allegedly knew about this ahead of time and was like, hey, let's do this. So on the one hand, I understand. And I even said to my best friend when he brought these topics up to me a few days ago and was talking to me about it, I was just like, look, I can see some Nigerian athletes especially doing it over Jamaica. I could see Nigerian athletes. If it was Jamaican athletes first, I could see it. And here go Favour Ofili coming up the rear. Yep, there it is. She's one of the latest athletes to confirm. And I said, you know what? That makes sense. Because they blocked off the athletes. This is just from a fundamental standpoint of, hey, I'm doing really well. And I need to have a career and I need to do something. Forget about even a money aspect. If you can't even go out to represent your nation, that's cutting in your bag right there, number one. And then number two is just, you don't even get a chance to represent, to go on the largest stage to do anything. Right? So she just said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And this is what I got to say about it. This is a structural no trust system that's been built up. It's been too many people that's been coming from the countries and not willing to fix their own country. I gotta really say this, because you don't get these situations strictly from, oh, here's an organization. Let's point to JAAA. You say, it's their fault. Okay. Now we just take them out. You're not doing track and field. You're doing something else. The beaches, it's the government's fault. Okay. The resorts, the government's fault. Okay. Where the government made out of people, citizens, men and women. They're not robots yet. So what's going on? Oh, well, this business or this area is not developed. It's their fault. Okay. You got to be willing to fight in order to improve that, right? Because if you're not willing to fight in order to improve it, you're going to be left with people crying over Queen Elizabeth dying when she massacred tens of thousands, at least, if not hundreds of thousands of people in that Mau Mau uprising in Kenya when she was just took the throne, right? You're going to cry over her, right? That goes back to that. There are going to be Chinese people, Indian people coming into your land, buying it up with no resistance, really. And then you're going to say the government. But when you think about it, there's been uprisings with black Americans. There's been uprisings in France, uprisings in Russia. You got the Bolshevik Revolution, the French Revolutions, 2 or 3 of them. You got uprisings right now in Kenya, right? You have Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. You have those people that did uprisings. Now, you could say those more military, so maybe I can count that one less. Those 3 out, right? Kind of like a military, and then the people came up behind them. But as far as Kenya, they're having uprisings right now. So if you're not willing to then push back on your own government, you're not going to have anything good, because power does not concede anything freely. Power has to be forced to concede, which means you have to use power to force it. Civil rights in the U.S., although some of them have backfired, but all of the civil rights acts, because there's been more than one, have been happened at the behest of black Americans, right? Pushing for that. That didn't happen. Jim Crow didn't stop because people said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to be nice. Let's stop doing that. Slavery did not end because they said, well, you know what? We're being nice. The U.S. was getting their asses kicked, which they do not like admitting that. They were getting their asses kicked by the Seminoles down in the southeastern United States and around the Mexican border. They could not really invade there because some of the Seminoles defended Mexico, but they were getting their asses kicked. And then the Civil War happened, and they were like, yeah, we can't win anything without the Negro. The Negro came in, they won the war, and then they said, Abraham Lincoln was like, if I could do this without the Negro, I would have done it if I could do it without Indian slavery. But he couldn't. Nothing happens without a forced aspect. If somebody's abusing you every day and they're beating the bricks off of your face, they're not going to stop doing it. This is a result, the brain drain. The reason why I'm saying this, because if an American athlete does it, that's not really that big of a drop. And it's not going to be that big of a deal. But when you got just a very few amount of athletes, you got your own only gold medalist at this last Olympics, by the way. The only gold medalist. Gone. Right? You get your only gold medalist. And you only had a handful of them anyway. 3 medals. And at least 1, 2 might be gone. Now, you could say, hey, we underperformed. Man, if Kimber Nelson said, I'm about to go because I got snubbed at 2 different Olympics, are y'all then going to wake up and say, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now our sprinters are getting taken. Because you might say, field eventers, it was just a bad Olympics. We could do better next time. But this is a representative of a trust system. What do you guys think here? Now it's 14 minutes. I wanted to go 8, but I did cover that. Went a little bit longer. What do you guys think? This is a fundamental trust issue. I got to just say it like that. If there's a group of people unwilling to fight, but if they go to another nation, namely USA, as you can see some uprisings happening, and willing to fight tooth and nail for a nation that's not their home nation, where was that energy in their own nation? How do you have pride in a place where you're not at? That's where a lot of people are at. And I will guarantee you this, 99%. If they go to Turkey, they're not going to pull out the Jamaican flag or say shout out to Jamaica like they would do in the U.S. if there was a win. There would not be that. Manzano, whatever his name is, in the 1500 pulled out the Mexican flag. You get other people that say, oh, shout out here when they may win something with the U.S. uniform on. They may not pull out the flag necessarily. I didn't hear Bernard Lagat ever start talking big up in Kenya. Even throughout his career, he really ain't even doing it now. Like, but there's a lot of athletes that will be coming out in their from other nations, and then they'll be like, hey, shout out here, shout out there, shout out this, all these other nations, but you're not representing them. Like, that's very interesting. And then so that motivates people to want to leave. That motivates people to want to leave. And so you get, let's say, the good people leaving. And if you want to put it this way, with good and bad, I wouldn't necessarily say bad, but destructive and constructive people. You got the constructive people, potentially constructive. It's case by case. But you got constructive people that may leave and they say, look, I'm just going to do my life here. Some of them may want to have they're doing it out of saying, hey, look, I'm going to go build my neighborhood. And they say, I want to put money back in my neighborhood, back in the country. But then they see one of these three scenarios. One, they get backstabbed by their own family members. And if you say that I'm making it up, I seen it. And there's plenty of videos. People going to UK and Canada. I mean, you got videos of people saying, do not send money back to your family. We're doing our own life here in the UK. Okay, cool. You got their own family members doing it. You got like cousins, mother, right? Mothers stabbing them in the back. You got the government. They may bulldoze down. It's not just happening to black Americans. It's happening to other people. You're a Nigerian. You went to the UK, built up your money. Then you come to invest back in Nigeria and say, hey, look, I'm going to buy about 10 acres of land, build up some apartments. Then Nigerian government come and freaking bulldoze it down. Example, right? And you got people just tearing some of these things down, right? Or, so you got a government, you got the, which is made of people, you got your family, and you got your friends. All of these things are happening. But if the people that stay back home do not build up a system that they can invest in, this is where you see some of these people just say, middle finger, I don't care. But I'm going to say shout out to this land that I really don't care to invest in because it's too messed up. And I'm going to say shout out to this land I'm not living in. And that's kind of where this is all coming from. This doesn't come out of nowhere, guys. I know some of you guys will not like to hear it. Some of you guys are going to straight up and down maybe disagree. But I got to say it because I try to do criticism where criticism is due and where it's all over. I'm not going to criticize the individual athletes. They got their own reasoning. But I am going to criticize the overall thing here, the aspect here. The JAAA is not an anomaly, unfortunately. It's not like, oh, look, it's only happening here. It's happening all over the freaking place. If you're not going to fight for your own land, other people are going to come and take your land and they're going to put their stake down and they are for sure going to fight for it. You have Chinese down there not allowing you to go on your own freaking beaches. You have a couple of black Americans invested in Jamaica, so I've been told, that have been holding down the fort so that Jamaicans can enjoy that. That's the difference between when black Americans are investing in stuff. They're not kicking you off your own places. They're like, hey, look, let's go in, let's work together. But you got white people coming down there, let's call it Europeans. You got Asians coming there, Indians and Chinese mainly, but a couple of Koreans and stuff mixed in and other people. But you got them going all over the place. And I'm not talking just about Jamaica. I'm talking about all over the place. That includes Nigeria. Right? That includes Nigeria. But what do you guys think about that overall and my take on it? I will catch you all on another video pretty soon. I may just do the videos after Jamaican trials, but I don't know. It's been a long time since we saw Jamaican trials before the USA trials. I can't remember the last time, to be honest, when this has happened, but hey, this is very interesting. So I'll catch you all on the next one. You've been watching Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes' performances and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. And remember, build a trust system and people will stay.